I know some of you are still eating, but I also know that you're all conference professionals and know how to eat in the dark. So, this is a very important moment for me each conference. And Scott gave me a quote, unidentified, maybe one of you will know it. Art is long and time is short. I think it's always important in our fast-paced lives, everything going, to take a moment, especially on this specific holiday, to honor the memory of those in our field who have passed away in the last year, but who have left us richer because of their art and their work. So if you would all please take a moment to look at the screen and think a thought, whatever your following is, to recognize what all of these individuals left with us and to carry that forward. So thank you very much. So at this time, go ahead and change the slide. Great. Thank you. May I have, and now can we have a round of applause for those individuals who are here with us and present. So now I would like you to join me in welcoming Alicia Anstead, the editor of our Inside Arts magazine, as well as the co-producer of the wonderful Saturday morning Pachaka Shah with the artist and the 5 Minutes to Shine competition. So please join me in welcoming Alicia Anstead.
Thank you, Mario, and hello, everyone. 3 years ago, Scott Stoner and I developed the 5 Minutes to Shine concept in conjunction with that year's conference theme, Shine. The aim is to showcase big ideas drawn from all sectors of our membership. This year, we asked participants to focus their stories on effective practices for engaging audiences. The guidelines followed APAP's partnership with the Wallace Foundation to highlight the research and examples of effective audience engagement by arts organizations and presenters across the country. This morning, we hosted another round of 5 Minutes to Shine, and again, the audience selected a favorite to present right now at today's awards luncheon. It is my pleasure to introduce this morning's winning 5 Minutes to Shine story and presenter. Please welcome Liz Stover Rosenthal.
Thank you, everyone. It's a real honor to be here in front of you all this afternoon. Let's go. So as a performing arts presenter on a major university campus, football can often feel like a dirty word. We envy the millions of dollars our athletic departments rake in from donations annually, when to us arts presenters, a single $1 million gift could be transformative. We work hard to make the case that the arts are an integral part of a college student's education to ensure our university funding remains secure. And when your college town's football stadium has enough seats to fit just about the entire population of Ann Arbor inside of it, there's always a major risk associated with scheduling a show on a game day, requiring us to say prayers to the gods of TV scheduling that the Wolverines and their opponents won't be good enough that week to warrant a coveted 8 p.m. primetime spot. So when UMS announced one of our most exciting recent undertakings, a 5-year residency partnership in Ann Arbor with the New York Philharmonic, I was thrilled to project manage. But a major challenge followed. How do we make the deepest impact in our community with this first visit, given some major time constraints? We had to make this first visit set the tone for the future. The Philharmonic could only be in Ann Arbor for 3 days. And of course, our Saturday just so happened to be a home football game, homecoming weekend, no less. So after lots of brainstorming, we developed an ambitious wish list of activities that we wanted to make happen that weekend. But there was a huge hole on Saturday afternoon. We couldn't schedule master classes when the majority of the student body would be heading to the big house for the game. How could we get the attention of the community when campus would be saturated with homecoming events? How could we provide multiple ways in to this residency? So as one idea, I called the director of the Michigan Marching Band to gauge his feelings and ideas on a possible collaboration with UMS for the homecoming halftime show. His answer, if you could get the New York Phil Brass section and Alan Gilbert to participate, I would design an entire show around them. So my next and biggest challenge was getting the orchestra on board. As presenters, we can sometimes forget the rules of unions by which producing institutions are often bound, and I was immediately flooded with questions that made me concerned for the reality of this exciting idea. But in what felt like a win as great as any Michigan football victory, we eventually got permission to move ahead. 16 New York Phil Brass players would appear alongside the Michigan Marching Band, Alumni Band, all student brass, the UMS Choral Union, all to be conducted by music director Alan Gilbert. There were more than 1,000 musicians on the field that day at halftime. The Philharmonic Brass performed before one of their largest audiences ever of over 107,601 people, and the first time a professional orchestra had ever taken part in a college football game day. And the impact was deep. Expressions of gratitude and pride came rolling in from people on campus and alumni from around the world. One writer compared his experiences as an audience member of Friday's Philharmonic concert to his experience as an attendee at the football game. What is remarkable and compelling about true excellence is that it brings with it the impulse for aspiration, a model for following, a standard that invites an urge for similar achievement. We were finally on the same level as athletics. So, lest you believe that we devoted all of our attention to sports that day, across campus that same afternoon, we arranged for volunteers from the Philharmonic to do bedside performance visits to patients at the University Hospital. Together, they visited 16 patients for private visits in the cancer, cardio, and physical rehab centers. We knew we had done our jobs well when we received a message from a patient the following week. Thank you so much for the wonderful man who came to play at the hospital today before his concert. I'm in the hospital because I have a rare type of cervical cancer, so I encouraged my family to go to the concert, but they were all feeling bad because I couldn't go. Now they don't need to feel so bad. I got a personal serenade. Please pass on my sincere thanks. It was a very special moment at a very difficult time. In planning this residency, it would have been so easy to accept the logistical challenges of a football Saturday in Ann Arbor and give ourselves the majority of a day off. But the question of multiple ways in, one of the Wallace Foundation's strategies for building arts audiences, how can we bring an experience to people who otherwise might not have found us? That inspired a weekend of excellence. True impact can be made with any number of participants. From 16 hospital patients to 107,601 football fans, we were proud to be makers of joy in Ann Arbor. Thank you, and go blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and president of PMG Artists, Pam Green.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Yikes. Yeah, you see that I'm not good at on stage, not used to being on stage. It is my honor and privilege on behalf of the Awards Committee and the Association of Performing Arts Presenters to talk about the awardee for the Award of Merit, Dr. Charles R. Chuck Davis, also known to many of us as Bubba Chuck. His accomplishments as one of the foremost teachers and choreographers of traditional African dance and keeper and promoter of African and African American culture are tremendous and well known. He holds dual cultural citizenship in New York and North Carolina, recently having received 2 of those states' highest cultural honors, a 2014 Legacy Award from the Bessies, and an incredible hour-long TV biography on UNC Public Television that aired recently. Google it, it's fantastic, and you will love it. My son, like so many of Chuck's children's children, was honored to grow up knowing Chuck, and when he was a little boy, he would ask me, when he would see Chuck in his regalia, "Is he the king of North Carolina?" I said, "He is to you and in our house because he held you up and named you after you were born. Think Lion King." He got it. He's also 23 and here managing my showcases today. So, a few highlights for those who don't know him as well. He began his career in dancing in social clubs in Washington, D.C. on his breaks from his classes at Howard University and as a nurse in the Navy. He danced with Ola Tunji and Elio Kamari early in his career. He founded the Chuck Davis Dance Company here in New York in 1968, and soon after was selected as one of the first African-American companies to tour Europe under the auspices of the State Department. The Chuck Davis Dance Company then performed at BAM, which led to the founding of Dance Africa, which now takes place in 5 cities annually throughout the country: Philly, DC, Atlanta, Dallas, and Denver. Though he recently retired as Artistic Director of Dance Africa BAM in what I hear was as grand an event as BAM has ever hosted, he is still the Artistic Director for Dance Africa in all the other cities. You may not know that Chuck is originally from North Carolina, Raleigh. He was raised there lovingly by his late parents, Ethel and Tony Davis, who many of us had the privilege of seeing him also care for them, and they both lived well into their 90s. So when the American Dance Festival moved from New London, Connecticut to Durham, North Carolina, Chuck moved back home, and he founded the African American Dance Ensemble, his second highly regarded dance company that performed his beautifully created African dance works and toured nationally and internationally, providing the edutainment that is so important to him, and where he coined his motto, "Peace, love, respect for everybody." That happened in 1983. In 1985, he hired me, a young graduate of Duke University, after an internship at the American Dance Festival, and gave me my first full-time job as the company manager and eventually managing director of the African American Dance Ensemble, and that was 30 years ago. I say that not as just a point of personal privilege, but Chuck has provided arts administration opportunities and training opportunities for many people in this business and with his companies and projects, and he should be almost as applauded to me as for that as is for his own beautiful dance works. So I want to acknowledge that. Over a 3-hour lunch recently, I asked him what he'd been up to. If you ever had lunch with Chuck, he would understand that. And what he was most proud of. And he talked about an upcoming trip to Cuba where he's planning for his next ballet, a recent starring role in the Justice Theater project's The Color Purple when he played Mista, and from what I hear from people who went, it was just as good as the Broadway version. As artistic he's the artistic director of the Black Nativity and led our annual Kwanzaa celebration on his recent birthday, which was November 1st. And you'd probably get after me if I told you how old he is, but. I got 2 AARP cards. Well, he turned 79 on November 1st. And yeah, he's amazing. His honorary degrees from UMass Amherst, Medgar Evers College, and Williams College. And he was most proud of his work of his humanitarian work for the 11 adopted orphans he provides in education and Christmas gifts for in Africa. In addition to his artistic craft, he has legions of people throughout the country and the world for whom he has provided an incredible example of what it means to be true to your creative spirit, a role model of caring for others, and the embodiment of peace, love, and respect for everybody. Please welcome to the stage the irreplaceable treasure, dance treasure, Bubba Chuck Davis.
This is highly interactive because we are. Please, do as I do, say as I say for the next 3.5 minutes. Okay? Now, you're right there. To begin with, every time I say I'll go, which means attention, you respond I'll may, which means I am listening. You got that down? Okay? Now, I want everyone just to take a moment and remember that we are standing on the shoulders of so many who have made the transition to the ancestral grounds, and they are there. So just for a moment, let us pay homage. Now, with this, feeling that energy, which is there, it comes in one side, comes up the other. Remember, you're going to say as I say, and you're going to do as I do with exuberance. Okay, here we go. I am. Okay, some of y'all say, I am. No, you have to pull it in. Ready? Here we go. I am. Because you are. Because you are. And because you are. And because you are. We are. We are. Awesome! What it is. Okay, now, I'm watching my time. But so I have to thank so many people, so many of you here, every path that